What is up, y'all? For today's video, I'm going to be reacting to a couple episodes of My Hero Academia. So the last episode I ended up watching, it was just insane. It was absolutely crazy because we got a prison break. So pretty much All For One ends up, breaking himself out of prison using Shigaraki's body, since he is kind of like, kind of taking control over Shigaraki's body. Not only does he break himself out of prison, he also breaks out a bunch of inmates as well, like Muscular and just a bunch of other people from the summer camp arc. And then we get to the hospital, we see Bakugo is trying to check up on Deku, because everyone that was injured during the war, everyone pretty much woke up. The only one that didn't wake up was Deku. So Bakugo is pretty much trying to check up on Deku, and he pretty much says that if Deku dies, he'll end up killing him. So I'm really excited to see how these next couple episodes go, but before I get started with the reaction, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this. So with all that being said, let's get started with the reaction and see what My Hero Academia has in store for us. Ooh, are we getting into like a little bit with Hawks' backstory? Because I feel like there's just so much about Hawks that we really like don't even know about. Oh, he had a tough life as a kid. Oh, that's awful. Like, it seems like they're like not, they're not fortunate. Like they're like financially struggling, and then it seems like his dad beats him. Like, that's awful. Oh yeah, like wait, isn't that something like Dabi revealed that like Hawks' dad was a criminal, like in the past and everything? Pretty sure like we already knew that from Dabi, because like he was just revealing a whole bunch of things. Okay, so maybe that's why he like idolized Endeavor, is because Endeavor caught Hawks' dad stealing a car and everything, and in a way this kind of like saved Hawks from like turning out to be like his parents, because he didn't want to be like them. Is she like, are they offering a trade right now? Like, are they kind of like offering a trade, like they'll give her like money or whatever, for Hawks? I think that's like what's like that's how he ended up like in the like with them. Okay, so they're not offering money. They're just offering like they'll like sever any connection that they had with his dad. Damn, that's a pretty cool ride. Not gonna lie. Best Jeanist has a pretty cool car. It looked like almost like the Batmobile. Okay, so that's how Best Jeanist survived. Oh, okay. Because like I was so confused. Like, how the hell did Best Jeanist survive all of that? But it turns like they just pretty much put him in like they pretty much put Best Jeanist in the same kind of like tank or whatever that they put the Nomus in, because they were trying to use like they were gonna plan on using Best Jeanist for their benefit. Yeah, the whole thing with like after that war, like the whole thing with like heroes being a career is starting to decline. So he went to go check up on his mom. Oh, so he wanted to check up on his mom before he recovered and before he went out, like went back out to being a hero. So that's how Dabi. Oh, so that's how Dabi found out about like Hawks' real name. Like he hired people to like go find to go find Hawks' mom and like try to get information out of her. So he doesn't have any like real relationship with his mom anymore. Oh, that's kind of like a bummer. But like, I mean, like, if it was a way for him to become a hero and not turn out like not to turn out like his dad or his mom, I guess like, for Hawks' like situation, yes, yeah, it makes sense for him to be fine with it. So now he wants to be like Twice. Now he wants to be like Twice, because like he was saying, like, even though Twice was a villain, he was still helping others out and everything. So now I guess he doesn't want to be like much of a hero, but he just wants to be similar, like I guess Twice. He just wants to help people out. At first, I thought it was a good idea to have like regular people like stop depending on heroes and just like protect themselves. But it turns out that might not be a good idea, because with the support items, they try to be heroes without the proper training, and it would just cause like collateral damage. While even a number 9 hero like retires, because like no one, like everyone is just like this, like there's just like the strain with like heroes and like just like the civilians and everything, because like they're starting to distrust heroes after everything, like the war, after everything with the war, and then after everything like Dabi revealed. Is that Stain? Was that Stain? Was that actually Stain? Hold on. Was that actually Stain? Oh, if he comes back, if that really is him, if that really is Stain, Oh, this is gonna go crazy. This is gonna go crazy. Because like so already so much is happening with this entire season. So much is happening with this entire season. You went from like people like admiring heroes and everything to them distrusting heroes after like after all like the secrets and like after all like the information that Dabi released during the war. You oh I dude, so much is going on. Like so much is going on. First, like there was that whole issue with like Shigaraki and like the war with like the Paranormal Liberation Front, and then post war you have people distrusting in humans or not humans. You have like civilians distrusting in heroes, and then they just show Stain. They just show Stain possibly coming back. Oh my gosh, this season is insane. This season is insane. Like even though Endeavor is like will be okay physically, it's just mental. The mental toll like that war took on him. After finding out that Toyo was still alive. My God, he really came at such a bad timing. Like I love how like it went from being extremely serious to like just being comical like right away. Oh, we get to see their mom. They're like all kind of like back together in a way, but like even though they're not like fully back together, they're like there's some part like back together. So they're here to talk about their family. They're there to talk about Toya because Toya was like that was like such a big thing. Like yeah, like everyone like had like theories that like Dabi is like Toya and everything, but with him like officially confirming it during the war. Oh my gosh. I'm just so happy that like they're kind of like in the same room again and like trying to talk about like their family, trying to talk about Toya and everything. You know, like Endeavor is just like we've never really seen Endeavor act like this. Like we never like seen him really show like emotions like that. But like now seeing him express those kinds of emotions, like regret and like sadness and everything, like it's it's surreal to really see him kind of like acting like that. I guess like if Toya didn't like if Dabi didn't reveal himself to be Toya, most likely Endeavor wouldn't be like this. But because it ended up being Toya, obviously it really hurt him knowing that like one of his sons was still alive and like that he was working with that he was working with the League of Villains and that he was Dabi this entire time. You know, like it really hurt him, and I absolutely love it like how it went from being serious, where he was like thinking about this, and he starts crying and then like he turns around and he sees Todoroki just standing there and he closes the door right away because like he got so awkward about it. But yeah, like I liked how this episode ended. It ended with like Endeavor just thinking about Toya and everything, and like just like everything that Toya revealed, and like we even find out like Best Genius tried to like disprove it. Like, even though he was able to kind of like disprove some stuff, I think there was still a lot of stuff that he really couldn't disprove. And, like it really broke Endeavor. The fact that like all this got not just like the fact that all this got revealed, but the fact that like Toya was still alive. Like so yeah, like you had Endeavor really having like this serious moment thinking about that too, having that comical moment where Todoroki's just like he's just standing there and he closes the door because he just feels so awkward. Also, we saw Stain, right? That was Stain. So it seems like Stain either is gonna show up in this arc, like the remainder of this arc, or they're gonna save him for a later arc. But like Stain. Yeah, so it seems like Stain is gonna somehow be back in the story. But yeah, this was a pretty interesting episode. It was interesting to see just like how much like just the civilians were like how much like distrust the civilians had with heroes, because like from what you've seen, like no heroes were showing up when Gluttony God or whatever was like causing havoc, and Best Genius shows up. He asked like what happened to the heroes, where are the police, like why didn't they do anything here, this is their jurisdiction. And one of like the civilians was like, well, the police, they have their hands full dealing with the villains that escape from prison, and then the heroes in that jurisdiction, they pretty much close their agency. But yeah, with this episode, it really showed like just how far the distrust in heroes has gotten. Like it's to the point where civilians are now kind of like taking things, trying to take things into their own hands. Like we saw one villain was trying to like hold up like this restaurant, I guess, and the staff there, they had support items to try to protect themselves and protect their establishment. But instead of being able to protect themselves, they just caused more damage because they are not trained in this at all. So we're really seeing just how far the distrust in heroes has gotten, because even like with the pro hero Wash, like he showed up trying to help out, but like you had civilians like telling him like to kind of like like that they just don't trust them anymore. So we're really seeing just how far people are starting to like not trust in heroes, and how that is kind of like, it's really like, I don't know, like it's really hurting. It's not only hurting the heroes, but it's also hurting themselves, because they're pretty much trying to protect themselves, which in like on paper it sounds good, like they want to protect themselves and not rely on heroes, on the pro heroes. But because they're not trained to do this, they end up causing more damage. But again, this was a pretty good episode, a pretty good episode, like showing just how far, regular civilians have gotten when it comes to distrusting heroes. So I think this was like a nice way to kind of like show that after everything Dabi has revealed, like we're really seeing the effects of all the information that Dabi has pretty much leaked out to the public. But yeah, I pretty much got nothing else to say for this episode, so let's just get started with the next one. Yeah, she did. I forgot she saw, like she was watching, like watching Toya's, like like him spilling all the beans and everything. Like she was watching it as like he was like broadcasting and everything. So like it seems like they're there to like talk about it, like to talk about like what are they gonna do with Toya, like, and like if they do go that course, I'm like, what should they do with Toya? Like what should like Endeavor and like mainly Endeavor and Todoroki, what they should do about Toya? That's definitely going to be like a tough conversation for them to have. The fact that Dabi managed to hurt Endeavor not only like physically but like emotionally too, like he was like so twisted for that, but like he made such a good plan. But yeah, with like Endeavor, kind of like his whole like thing is having kids that would like surpass All Might. Like it was the reason for why Toya pretty much snapped in the first place. Why Toya became Dabi in the first place is because of Endeavor. Like his whole thing being like having kids that like would surpass All Might. He's the reason for Toya being like this. Like he, like even for such a young age, he started to like really like change personally. Yo, even at a young age, he was he was trying to get rid of Todoroki. Yeah, he for sure has snapped just because of Endeavor. Endeavor is the reason for Toya being like this. Not only was he like demented about like wanting to continue training with Endeavor and wanting to like surpass All Might, dude was hella sexist too at such a young age. Well, I mean, like Endeavor, I feel like Endeavor in a way could also be like seen as sexist, but Toya straight up he is hella sexist, like saying like the women in their family are completely useless and everything. Dude, young Toya was such a dick. Young Toya was straight up a dick. I'm starting to have like zero empathy for this dude, like completely. Bro, like pre like develop like Endeavor back then was a complete, like I have zero respect for him, but like as the series continued and like he wanted to like redeem himself, I started to like Endeavor. But like before then, Endeavor was awful. He was like a horrible person. Like he made his family like go through some hell. I feel like after like Toya died, it should have clicked in Endeavor's head that like he probably should stop obsessing over like having a kid that would be stronger than All Might because of Toya's death. Because of Toya's death, I feel like that should have clicked in his head that like, oh, this potentially could happen to to Todoroki if he pushed him hard enough. And I mean, like, I feel like Todoroki was maybe close to being pushed that far, like like being pushed to the extent of like how far Toya was pushed. But I feel like for sure Toya's death should have like, you know, clicked something in Endeavor's head and be like, yeah, I probably should stop obsessing over, you know, having my kids being stronger than All Might, and, you know, and just be done with it because like he already lost one kid. Oh my god. Okay, so they are gonna try to find Dabi. They are gonna try to find Dabi. But Ray was like, you know, we're gonna do this together. Oh my gosh, I love that idea. I love that idea of all of them coming together to take down Dabi. I mean, like that's an interesting way of getting the family back together by, you know, like by going against another family member. Yeah, like Todoroki would have to be the one to take on Dabi since Endeavor isn't in no condition to do it himself. So it would make more sense for like for Shoto to do it, to like fight Dabi. Wait, why is she apologizing? Oh yeah, for I forgot. I was like, why is she apologizing for Todoroki? Like, what did he do? I completely forgot it was Toya she was apologizing for. I wonder if like Hawks is kind of like planning to like have like, you know, some of the pro heroes, so like Hawks, Best Genius, Endeavor, try to like rebuild the trust in civilians, like rebuild the trust of heroes and like into the civilians and everything, and then like have like someone like Todoroki, you know, Bakugo, Deku, if he wakes up, try to like find the League of Villains or something like that. I feel like this is definitely something Endeavor needed. Like he needed like the support of like, you know, Best Genius and Hawks, and then like, you know, his family to like be able to walk again, and to like to be able to, you know, just get out of that funk that he was in. Oh, Hawks is asking what is one for all. Oh, okay, he's asking the right questions. I mean, you gotta ask like you like they. I feel like they know on who to ask. They probably gonna ask like Deku or maybe even like All Might about this. Is that why he's not waking up? That's gotta be the reason why Deku isn't waking up yet. Oh, that completely makes sense. Oh, that completely makes sense. So so All Might was saying, you know, like he can feel it. Like he can feel what was it? He can feel, I think like the one of like the wielders of One for All, you know, and he can feel that like Deku is talking to the previous wielders of One for All. That's why he's not waking up. Oh. So I wonder if he's talking just to like the ones that we've already seen so far, or if he's actually just talking to all of them. You know, I think there was like what, I think two remaining that we haven't gotten to see yet, right? I two or three, so something along those lines, right? There are definitely wielders that we haven't seen yet. So I wonder if Deku is talking to all of them, or if he's only talking to the ones that like that we've already seen, the ones that like have already manifested like their quirks to Deku and everything. But yeah, that makes sense on why Deku isn't waking up. You know, I thought it had to do with like with his injuries or like with how much he was fighting. But it makes more sense to have Deku not wake up yet because he's still talking with, you know, the previous wielders of One for All. And just like how Endeavor, Shoto, and like the rest of their family, they were talking about like, you know, what are they gonna do with Dabi? I wonder if I feel like Deku is talking to the previous wielders of One for All, and like talking about like what should the next plan be? Like, should they go after, you know, Shigaraki, or should they go after All for One? You know, like I feel like right now everything is just like trying to figure out on what they should do. Other than that, this was a pretty nice episode. I gotta say, this was a pretty nice one. You know, getting a little bit more backstory with Toya and everything, like, you know, how he was the firstborn. You know, like, yeah, he had a power, like, you know, like Endeavor said, you know, his flames were stronger than his, but it's just his body wasn't able to, it wasn't able to pretty much like, its durability wasn't good when it came to using his flames. So his body was just constantly burning up every time he used his quirk. And because of this, Endeavor was like, oh yeah, Toya can't be a pro hero because of, you know, the downside with his quirk. So, you know, he kept having kids until he had Todoroki. And like Endeavor stopped doing like training with Toya because he was like he's not going to be able to surpass All Might. And so because of this, because of Endeavor stop like with him stopping the training with Toya, it pretty much like pissed him off to where he started to snap. Like after every time he had a new kid, he was like he was like kind of like putting efforts into training them until like realized that yeah, their quirks weren't going to be strong enough to surpass All Might until Todoroki shows up. And then he just starts putting all his efforts toward Todoroki. And then like you had that moment where Toya like was about to attack Todoroki because of the fact that Todoroki was like the perfect child in their family, being able to use both their quirks and having like no downside to it whatsoever. And that made Toya snap. Also, not to mention that Toya was actually pretty damn sexist because like when he was talking to Natsu and everything, he was saying like, oh, the women in our family are completely useless, this and that, blah blah blah. And I was like, dude was so like, I stopped giving him empathy. Like, I stopped caring about him. Like, I don't care about this dude anymore. Dude is sexist, he's crazy and everything. But like, you gotta realize he probably became like this because of Endeavor. But I really like that we got to see like the the Todoroki family pretty much like coming together and like deciding like, Endeavor doesn't have to do this alone. Like, yeah, Endeavor is the reason why their family was kind of like broken up in the first place, but they want to come together and, take on Toya. And I think that's pretty cool that like, even though Endeavor is the reason for this, the reason for the family breaking up, the reason for Toya becoming Dabi, they still want to be together and take down Dabi's. And so, I think that was just pretty cool. And then, yeah, we have Best Genius, and Hawks, they're trying to talk to Deku, but because he's not awake, All Might pretty much told everyone, like, just let Deku rest. And with All Might being there, Hawks realized, like, oh, Endeavor said that Shigaraki was going after Midoriya. And, with All Might being here, add All Might into that equation, All Might must have some sort of connection to One for All. So instead of asking Deku, they're probably just going to try to like, get it out of All Might, which I feel like they could, but at the same time, with All for One being such a secret, maybe it won't be too easy for them to like to get it out of All Might. But I feel like, if they like if Hawks and Best Genius tell All Might like, yo, here's the situation, like I get it that it's a secret, but we're kind of going to need to know everything about All for One and One for All in order for us to, be successful in all this. But yeah, interesting things happened in this episode. It was a pretty good episode. I gotta say, it was a pretty good one, even though there wasn't like a lot of action, just more like backstory and then, like families coming together to take down another family member, and all of that. It was still a pretty good episode. But since I got nothing else to say about this episode, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for my other reactions, also for my discussion videos. So if you're into any of those, definitely subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, the whole thing. So with all that being said, again, thank you all for watching. Until next time, see ya.